get asked all the time in teaching guitar as a career is, should I start learning on an electric or an acoustic? See this all the time. I even have this conversation with like current kind of students, not just kind of new inquiries and things like that. My answer is kind of relatively always the same, and that is A, to an extent it doesn't really matter, and B, it matters in the context of what you want to achieve and what direction musically you're kind of going in, okay? So, if someone was like, oh, I really love bands like Oasis, for example, or Bob Dylan, or something else that's very singer-songwriter orientated, I might be more inclined to be like, okay, cool, we'll start with the acoustic, we can probably learn a whole lot more of the songs that way, you'll probably enjoy it a bit more that way. And if you have an inkling of inspiration to write songs yourself one day, kind of in a similar vein, in a similar style, then it makes more sense to roll with the acoustic for that reason. Whereas, if you're more straight on the side of the fence of punk, rock, metal, that sort of thing, by definition, genuinely, I'm always going to recommend the electric, because why wouldn't I recommend the electric for punk, rock and metal? Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's a little bit of thought towards the kind of context within the approach and the style and all those things I've just mentioned. And then also, the point I always like to try and make is, you can learn guitar either way, whether it's electric or acoustic, of course. The tune the same way, the chord shapes are the same way, the scale patterns are the same way, all that stuff that is 100% necessary and you're going to learn on your journey. It kind of doesn't matter which instrument you're learning on because of that reason, because they are the same. Like, I don't believe in this rule of, oh, start on acoustic because it makes the most sense, or every beginner should start on acoustic or whatever. That to me doesn't make any logical sense. It's all contextual within what you like, what you're striving for, what you're aiming for in the future. I will say by default, an electric is easier to play because the strings tend to be a lot softer, a lot closer to the neck in terms of the action. Just the way the guitar's designed is much smoother, much thinner, much more streamlined. The amplifier does half of the work for you in terms of the volume and the amount of like the attack and things. And the strumming, and when you've got distortion and effects involved, like it just kind of makes your whole world a lot simpler a lot of the time in terms of like playing and learning. Whereas on acoustic, generally, it's going to be more obvious when you hit wrong notes and bum notes and things like that. So you've got to take those kind of things into consideration and factor that into your decision. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. My question would be, where are you going direction-wise? What are you into stylistically, genre-wise? And consider those and make a decision. And in my opinion anyways, every guitar player should have an acoustic and an electric and be able to play both and have both that you can jump in between. One day you might want to play an acoustic song, one day you might want to bust out the electric, do some soloing, improv, that sort of thing. And it's beneficial and needed to be able to do both of those things. So I hope that helps and makes sense anyways. And yeah, keep enjoying guitar either way.